Intermediates, we have a problem. We do not know how to improvise on the guitar properly yet. And if you're like I was, you probably sounded something like this. Ouch. Ow, my ears. It hurts. Stop playing. You sound terrible. You sound god awful. It hurts. You're ruining the lives of everyone around you. Stop playing. Again, we don't know how to improvise properly. We have a good understanding of the mechanics of playing the guitar. We know how to make notes sound on the instrument. Okay, we know how to fret a note and stuff like that. But we don't actually know how to speak properly on the instrument. And that's because music is a language and we need to start having conversations. We don't know how to do that yet on the instrument. And again, we need to work on our musical conversational skills. So if you want to find out how to do that, stay tuned. This is how I got good at guitar. My name is Fabian Dolan. The goal of this channel is to make you become advanced without having to pay for a degree. And if you want to make music, you just don't know how yet, you want to unlock your inner musician that's been hiding for years, check the link in the description. And again, just to show you what I used to be in your shoes as well. I used to be a crappy intermediate guitar player. I don't think I sounded very good. And I advanced my playing. And I developed a chord reading style that I'm quite proud of. I like playing for other people. I'm not embarrassed. When someone gives me the guitar, I'm proud to play it. So I've been in your shoes. I know how to get out of them. And again, you do not need to get a degree like I did. So, phrasing does not come naturally to guitarists. Why is that? Okay? Why? Why do you think that phrasing does not come naturally to us? It's because there is a low cost to playing fast. It's very easy to play as many notes as we want on the instrument, right? We can do like hammer-ons and pull-offs and just... It's very easy and economical for us to play through a scale and just run through it and just go... Alright, it doesn't really sound that good. It's not very musical. The reason we don't sound good is because it's too easy to play fast. And again, some beginners might disagree with that. They're not there, but eventually it becomes easy to play fast. And singers and horn players, they don't have this luxury. I think naturally, when we talk about phrasing, everyone wants to sound like a singer. Everyone wants to emulate the way a singer's voice plays a melody. It's the melodies of a singer, they flow so naturally and effortlessly that we can't help but be envious and try to copy that on our instrument. And again, this limitation creates more tasteful music. It's not easy for these guys or girls to sing 1,000 notes or play 1,000 notes on the trumpet a second, and that's because they have to use their breath. If they tried to do that, they'd pass out. They'd go unconscious if they tried to play too fast. There is a cost of playing that many notes to those people because there is a physical limitation in their body that stops them from doing that. Unfortunately, and fortunately in some sense, we do not have that on the guitar. We don't have this limitation, which means that we need to develop some discipline in order to actually develop good phrasing, right? We need to think consciously about this and say to ourselves, wait, hold up. I'm actually doing too much here. This doesn't sound right. It's not very good. You need a bit of discipline, right? And there was one concept that I thought about, a nice analogy that changed how I approached improv. And you don't need any music theory to understand this. All you need to know is how to speak a language, which if you're watching this video so far, well done. I guess you already know how to do that. You are literate and you can lingual as well. You can understand the English language. Well done. If you're watching so far, you're going to be able to follow along with this concept, right? So I just want you to think about this for a second. Answer this question for me. What do you think makes a conversation interesting? There is a massive market around podcasts on the internet, right? Things like the Joe Rogan Experience, which goes on for hours and hours at end, sometimes even 4 hours long. People listen to that regularly. Why do you think they listen to these really long conversations? What is it about a conversation that makes something interesting? I think it's the ability for both parties to listen to each other. I think that's what makes a conversation interesting. If you think about the conversations you've had with people in the past, the most interesting and entertaining conversations, it's the conversations when you speak to someone, they're listening to the words you say and they properly understand you. And when they speak back, you are listening to them and you properly understand what they're saying. and that way you can have a conversation that stays on topic and flows naturally, right? And we hate getting interrupted. This is how an argument starts, right? So when we get interrupted, we hate this. It feels like people are not listening to what we have to say, and a conversation could not go further at that point if we are not listened to. And we're entertained for hours by these conversations. They seem to flow so naturally once they're going well, once we can be listening to. We don't even notice how long they've been going on for. They just kind of happen, and we just flow along with them, and we don't even notice how long, right? So what does this have to do with music? How is this related to music at all? Like I said earlier, music is a language, and the same rules of language also apply to music, right? So in order to have a conversation, in order for you to be able to understand me right now, you need to have an understanding of vocabulary. You have to understand what the words I'm saying, what they mean. And for me to be able to speak them to you, I need to have an understanding of grammar and how to form these sentences and put them together, right? This is the same with music. So theory, I guess, is our grammar. This is how we form sentences together, which chords and notes fit together and why they fit together and why it works. And then the licks and the phrases that we use are vocabulary. So these are the words that we can speak when we on top of that underlying foundation of grammar. But to have an interesting conversation, we need more than just an understanding of grammar and vocabulary, right? That's why ChatGPT can't really have an interesting conversation with you yet. AI can't have an interesting conversation. They can understand grammar, they can understand vocabulary, but you can't really have a good conversation that flows naturally with a robot, okay? And I don't think you ever will be able to. But to have an interesting conversation, like we said earlier, we need to be able to listen and respond accordingly. And we need to do this with our instrument. And the best way to ruin a conversation is to force a change of topic on the subject. You force what you want to talk about rather than letting it flow in naturally. So, how does this relate to music? In the clip that we saw at the start of this video, we saw someone forcing an unnatural musical phrase, right? They were going like, playing really chaotically on the instrument. And it didn't sound good. It sounded awful. It wasn't relevant to the subject of the rhythm section that he was playing to. He was forcing his own ideas and conversation somewhere that it didn't fit. He was essentially interrupting the band. It didn't sound good at all. So when we're playing music, we want to do the same thing. We don't want to force a subject, right? We need to naturally build and flow into a new subject matter, right? This applies on the instrument. Think about it. It's a very interesting analogy. Whenever you pick up the instrument, just try and think, I'm going to try and play conversationally, right? And this approach applies to how you solo, especially how you solo. Many of you are guilty of starting out with your best phrases, the ones that you've been practicing for ages, like the ones you've heard Jimi Hendrix play and thought, I'll play this one. He's played this before. Or like phrases that you've learned from a YouTube lesson. And when it's your time to improvise, maybe you're playing in a jam or something like that, and it's your time to play a solo, you come out guns blazing with your best stuff. Think about how a conversation would start like that. It would be terrible. If you just came out of a conversation, spoke as fast as possible, and didn't allow the other person to speak or even think, you're not really getting anywhere. It's not going to be an interesting conversation. It's not going to be a fun conversation to listen to, right? You need to have chance and opportunity to build into an interesting conversation. So that means we need to start slow. And again, it sounds like you're trying too hard. Whenever we've had conversations with people before where like they're trying really hard to be funny or they're trying really hard to be smart and impress everyone, it comes across as weird. It's unnatural. We don't like it. There's something off about it. We can tell. And the same is happening when we're playing music. It's the exact same way. It's the exact same way that someone tries to impress us, tries too hard. We can try too hard when we're soloing, and we force an unnatural subject into the musical conversation, and it doesn't sound very good, right? So promise me, next time you play a solo, next time it's your time to play a solo, you might be practicing to a jam track at home, or even playing with your band, right? I want you to do this. If you're watching this video, you have to promise me that you're going to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to learn. And I want you to become good at guitar. I truly care about your progression. So promise me that you're going to do this, right? You're going to have to earn your way to playing fast, playing those cool licks and phrases that you practice, right? The ones that you think are going to impress people. You have to earn your way there. What do I mean by that? You got to be comfortable just by starting slow and simple, by just playing a phrase like, right? Just be comfortable doing something really slow and just sitting on the groove. Don't be afraid to like hold a note as well. It's okay to just sit on a note. You don't even have to do vibrato. You don't even have to do like a massive bend or anything. Right? Just be comfortable. Just playing a phrase. And just sitting on the note. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to start slow and you got to be comfortable with being simple at the start. Again, right? If we think about a conversation, every conversation starts with a bit of small talk, right? Like, how you doing? How's your day? What have you been up to? Right? No one really cares too much about this, but it's just a nice warm-up that we give other people in order to start a conversation and get it flowing into a more deeper subject. It's a nice little kind of icebreaker to get something rolling. And we need to do this with our improvisation as well. It's the exact same thing applies. We need to start with small talk. Right? Just hold that note. It's okay. It's okay to just do some small talk phrases, right? So, next time you solo, the first few bars are going to be small talk. Make sure they're small talk, okay? So just be comfortable with just laying down low, just holding a note, not doing anything fancy. And then listen to the band, right? Again, like we said, with a conversation, it requires two people listening to each other. So you also need to listen to the context in which you're playing in. Make sure that you're playing over the right chord, you're playing the right notes over that chord, you're playing the right rhythm to them, and play something that's going to complement the bass and drums. Like try playing something that's going to either land on the same beat as the snare, and just, it's okay. Just listen and respond. Don't think of what you're going to play. Think about how you can complement someone else, right? Again, this has been how I got good at guitar. If you want to get better and you want me to give you one-on-one guidance on how to improve, and you want to progress faster in 1 month than the past year you've been practicing, check the link in the description. I can help you get so much better at your guitar playing. So, respect for making it to the end. If you're in the top 1% that's made it this far, you're going to improve at guitar. I know, I trust you. And again, subscribe for more high quality guides, and ask me any questions on Instagram as well. And again, thank you to all the kind comments that you've been leaving. It's really nice of you. And again, the kind words from my students as well. Sweet. Thank you and take care.